All right, SEC West fans, this is Old Rick again. We're broadcasting from San Antonio, actually. If I could take my camera, well, I can't really reach out there, but if I could, you'd see the Alamo just right out there. It's pretty cool. Um, we don't really have the big games in the West. We have some interesting games, so I'm just going to do one total show. That's old Derek in the background. He might provide some input in a little bit. I don't know. Um, let's see what we got. South Carolina, Mississippi State. South Carolina is a 3.5 point favorite over the Dogs. South Carolina just got rid of Stephen Garcia. I think it was like hours ago. Mississippi State is in a state of confusion. I'm thinking the new quarterback's going to come in and do good things for South Carolina, and they're probably going to roll up the score. I'm thinking. LSU is a 16-point favorite over Tennessee, which surprised me because I thought it was going to be much higher than 16 points. What you think so?
16, backup quarterback. We saw what happened last week.
Backup quarterback had all kinds of yards against us last year. Their backup quarterback, the same quarterback that played against us last year.
He was leading in the SEC earlier, wasn't
he? This year the guy was. I don't know if he was last year.
Yeah, before he got replaced, he was leading in efficiency.
Yeah. So I don't think that's going to be.
So it doesn't count this week.
I don't really think it's going to be like that Florida mess was. Here's some interesting facts about the Tennessee LSU game. In 1959, LSU was coming off a national championship year. They were ranked number 1 in the country and had to go to Knoxville, Tennessee. They lost that game to a Tennessee team that eventually won 4 or 5 games. That was it. They were a pretty bad team. But they beat Billy Cannon on a 2-yard conversion try that's still hotly contested to this day. It's all in good fun now. But it's interesting, the last time LSU was number 1 going into Knoxville, they got knocked off by a team that had no business on the field with them. And if that happens this time, it'll be the same thing because Tennessee really has no business on the field with LSU this year. LSU gives them a bunch of turnovers, 4 or 5 turnovers like last year. How many turnovers did we give Tennessee last year? At least 4. So, I want to go back to that game last year too. Everybody talks about how lucky Les Miles was to win the game. He was actually lucky to win a game where he turned the ball over 4 times. I mean, that was a miracle we were even in it. So if LSU, talking about turnover margin, LSU is tops in the SEC in turnover margin by a mile. Kind of like Alabama's number 1 in rushing defense in the country by a mile. Again, Tennessee's starting quarterback is out, but he played very well against LSU last year. And Tennessee cannot run the ball. In fact, they have negative yardage in the SEC against the SEC opponents this year. That doesn't bode well.
That's nasty.
Yeah, very nasty. So I don't see how Tennessee's going to do anything against LSU. I think they'll be ready to play their A game because I know Derek Dooley had a real bad taste in his mouth about that game last year. I've heard him talk about it on several talk shows during the off season. It's something that has stayed in his gut. I don't know if his mom was going to get involved this week, but Tennessee's got a mess going on too. And LSU 16-point favorite, I would definitely take LSU and give Tennessee 16 points. Now this game might be probably the most interesting game is Auburn in Florida. Auburn's a 1-point favorite against Florida. God damn, I can't figure any one of these 2 teams out. I drank some of the Auburn Kool-Aid last week thinking they were going to do something, but they didn't. Arkansas really took care of business and did what they should have done the whole time, and that was a surprise to me. It wasn't a surprise to the Arkansas fans who continually send me texts and emails and everything else, and the Arkansas Nation's talking major shit right now. So And that's good for them. The Hogs are off this week. The fan base is excited, and if I had their quarterback, I'd be excited too. Nothing against Jarrett Lee or JJ or other senior quarterback. Um, so, Auburn, Florida, 1 point Auburn margin.
I'd be taking Auburn in that one, Rick.
Taking Auburn, huh? Yeah, I think I'm going to drink the Auburn Kool-Aid one more time and say I'll take Auburn in that game. But that's going to give Florida 3 losses in a row in the SEC schools. I don't know when the last time that happened. That's playing against history. I do want to say something about the Saban proteges, the Muschamps, and the Jimbo Fishers, and the Derek Dooleys. There's so many Saban proteges out there now that they all aren't going to be successful. So we're trying to see which ones aren't. The odds are that none of them are really going to be successful. And right now, it looks like Derek Dooley's probably got the biggest mess in Tennessee through no fault of his own. Jimbo Fisher got him a mess up in Florida State, and that comes off of, some good recruiting classes and everything else in the top 5 ranking in the preseason. So, I would imagine one of the 3 Saban proteges are going to be the Saban Padawans, as the girl in Florida said.
Who was Houston Nutt's mentor?
Houston Nutt, I think, was Frank Brawls.
You think he'll make it through the season?
No. Speaking of Houston Nutt, we got Ole Miss and Alabama playing against each other, and Alabama's a 25-point favorite. I'll take Alabama and give Ole Miss the 25. What do you think?
I concur.
Yeah, I would be surprised, and I wish my buddy Coonneck would come on and talk again. He's he's gone through some stuff that he's dealing with in his life. I think he's going to come back and join us. I'll say a prayer for my boy Coonneck to come back real soon. But Alabama and Ole Miss, sorry guys, I don't even know where the game's going to be played. I think it's going to be at Ole Miss, because I think the game last year was at Bama. I don't think Ole Miss has anything for Bama. I think Houston Nutt, I still think he's a good coach, but I do think he's going to get the axe by the end of the season. I would not be surprised after his tirade about recruiting and Gene Chizik that if he wasn't fired after this Bama ass kicking.
Game's in Oxford this week.
The game's in Oxford. So I'm still holding out for the Houston Dale miracles that he used to pull, but I don't think it's going to happen this week. I think Houston Nutt's probably just going to load up the box, try to stop Trent Richardson, and I think we're going to get to see more of A.J. McCarron do some things like he did against Vanderbilt. It's really good at Bama's getting him some time throwing the ball. So I think that's what's going to happen. And you know what, guys? I don't know if Ole Miss just completely loads the box up with 11 people, if they're going to be able to stop Alabama's running game. So pretty much all 4 games in the West are pretty much lackluster or messes. But that I would have to say the Auburn-Florida game's the most intriguing. Would you say so?
Well, I think it's intriguing for the Florida Nation to see how Muschamp recovers.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna. I wouldn't expect anything positive to happen for the Gators this week. I kind of hope they do. It's kind of, I don't know. I know the LSU. Some of these rivalries LSU has, like the LSU and Florida, has been playing forever. I think that's probably going to go away next year. And I don't know what's going to happen with Bama and Auburn.
The Gators may have a chance to be at least competitive this week instead of flopping.
They might, because Auburn's defense is atrocious. They're in the bottom of the categories, and especially pass defense. Florida did prove at times that they could pass the ball against both LSU and Bama. They had some nice pass plays. So I don't know. I would say this about the LSU Florida game. Uh, I was really looking forward to the Florida game to see what LSU, how you could measure LSU and Alabama against a common opponent. But in my opinion, it was a wash. I mean, I don't know how you can compare two ass whoopings.
Backup quarterback.
Well, my Bama brethren has said, well, y'all played them without their starting quarterback, but so did Alabama in the whole second half. You know,
What was the halftime score of Florida Alabama?
good question. I think it was too much to not enough. That Alabama got rolling in the second quarter of that game and started pulling it away. I'm thinking it was probably 21-10, if I'm not mistaken. Derek's got his droid here. See if he can find that for us. But and that's a shame. So the way the schedules are looking out, you're probably going to have a situation where Bama and Florida's undefeated. I mean, Bama and LSU's undefeated, and by that time, we're only going to have two common opponents that have played both Bama and LSU, which is going to be Florida and Tennessee. And
It's 24-10 at the half.
okay, it was 20. And I said what, 21-10? It was 24-10 at the half, so it's pretty much over. And then their backup quarterback came in. My Alabama faithful. Okay. Maybe that's one thing you can say about it. I don't know if you can argue it or not. But anyway, we're running out of time here for YouTube. Hope y'all enjoyed the show. Email us at secwestdudes@live.com. We're on Twitter. Man, I have real fun on Twitter. But I appreciate all the comments. And Hog Nation, y'all keep talking shit. I'm loving it. Just don't get too personal with me no more, okay? Bye.